Future managers, I'm about to talk about music publishing. Mind you, before we start, I want to connect the dots on how money is made within music. So, once music goes out into the world, wherever you hear it, there's money being generated off of music. Managers, I want you to pay attention to that. I'll say it again. Once it goes out into the world, there's money to be made off of music. It's making money, it's generating money in some type of way. A publisher's job is to go find that money for the songwriter and composer. So the two different ways you can make money in music is the music composition and the sound recording. So the music composition is the beginning. This is the birth. So the music composition is putting together lyrics with beats or notes. What we technically call in our hip hop culture the producer and a writer, right? But a producer don't necessarily have to make beats by definition. You know, I'm talking about the person who's putting the music together underneath, and the person that's writing the words. So that is a music composition. That in itself is one way that those people can get paid. The people who create that part, which is the DNA, the inception of the song you may end up hearing, gets paid once it gets to the world, once the words and the music that they put to the words goes out to the world. The second part, which we usually hear, is the sound recording. So the sound recording is when it becomes recorded, when those words and that music gets recorded in the studio like this. From there, it gets distributed out to the world when we finally hear it. Now, the sound recording, the difference, you might say, the sound recording, a recording artist, this is where we get a recording artist from the term, because it comes from the sound recording. It's a person who records the music composition part, right? So you got artists who don't write their own music, but records the music composition that's put together, which becomes the sound recording. Now, there's different ways and different pots of money that each one of these people are allowed to get paid off of. So that's what I want you to understand before you go out there. Music composition, sound recording. Usually when the sound recording happens, a recording artist, sometimes it's the people who write the words, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just a recording artist. They put it together, and then we'll get into the whole lesson on getting it out there to the world when we talk about distribution deals, and you heard it. So now let's get to publishing. The responsibility of a publisher is to go collect the money on behalf of the music composers. So that side of the world. So the people who owns and who wrote the original beat and the words and the lyrics. And like I say, once it gets out to the world, it allows for this money to be confiscated. And there's different places within the world where you'll see that this money needs to be collected. For example, television, radio, in the elevator. When you go to a concert, you hear music, streaming services. Everywhere you hear music, mind you, that could be tons of places. There's somebody that has to be responsible for collecting all that for you. Not necessarily, but that's the role of a publisher, to go collect all those things. You could do it by yourself, and I'm going to get to that because I'm about to talk about the different types of publishing deals and what they kind of look like in a minute. Outside of those places, there's also places like licensing. So if you want to get your music, if they want to get that music composition in movies and television, or sampling, you know what I'm saying? If somebody wants to use that music composition and sound recording one day that you wrote, a publisher job is to make sure they track all those things and collect the money and report it to you on your behalf. So some of the people that do it are called, PROs, and they're like BMI, CSEC, ASCAP. You probably heard of these people. Those are the ones that are responsible to collect all this on his behalf. So every artist in its inception in order for, even if they're not collecting it on your behalf, right? You still need to register with these people so it's being documented. You know, there's different type of deal structures in the publishing world when it comes to how it looks and how you want to be able to get your money once it's out there into the world, right? So you can decide, well, I can do this on my own, you know, and be self-published, which is what it's called, and be responsible for going out and making sure that all the places in this country that's playing your music, that you are calculating and figuring it out and making sure all your money is coming to you. You know, that's one way of it. And the other type of publishing deal, which is called co-publishing, is basically now you have an employing the publisher to do more duty and do more work. So they're going to go collect your money. They're going to go collect your money for you. They're going to report to you and pay you out. It's usually a 50-50 type deal. But on top of that, they're also going to pitch you for syncs in television shows. They're going to take your music composition and try to make money. So that's usually what a co-pub deal is. So their job is not only to go collect it and report to you, but as a publisher to try to go get other opportunities, try to get your you know what I'm saying, if try to create that music composition, maybe turn it into a book and sheet music, which you might see marching bands playing or orchestras or different things like that, right? Just trying to create other ways of income that you can make off of your music composition. The last deal, and which is usually more favorable, which I usually recommend because in the early stages is an admin type deal. And that just means a publishing admin deal. They're ministers. So what they're doing is they're collecting and then reporting. So you're not getting all the other services of them going to get syncs and licensing deals and things of that nature. For me, in my opinion, I haven't dealt with a company that out of all of those big three that really was successful in helping me in that space. I kind of got most of my syncs and deals on my own. So I chose to, and that usually comes with a lower percentage. So that's like 10% on average, right? So you got self-publishing, well, you don't pay nobody, you got to do all the work. You got co-publishing, where it's usually 50-50, and they try to not only collect the money for you and send you your money, but also try to go get you syncs and licensing deals and things of that nature. And then you have the admin deal where all they're doing is going, collect, and reporting to you. So as a manager, what you have to do is understand, you have to understand that you have money out there that's all over the place and you have to pay attention to it. Usually managers don't pay attention to that and sometimes only look at the money that's being generated off the sound recording, which I told you is the other way, right? The other way that you maintain money. The sound recording is when it's out, so that's when it's on Apple, Spotify, Tidal, and Pandora, and the money that's generated from the sales of streams, you know, that's usually what we pay attention to. We tend to pay attention to as managers, especially if it's early. We don't pay attention to those dollars that's coming to everywhere else that is playing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have music all around you in this world. And so as you go around and you hear things, no matter where it is, it's generating revenue. So as a manager, you have to first understand, and that's why I want to break down the different ways that artists get paid or music makes money. I'm not talking about artists because artists not necessarily the writers. I want to tell you how music gets makes money so that you have understanding what your responsibility is when you jump in there and try to figure out how to go collect the most money and pay attention to all the money that your artist is making. So if you represent an artist and they're also writing their lyrics, then you have to pay attention to the music composition side where all these other streams of revenue are getting collected. If they're just artists that have their music written for them, then yes, you could pay attention to the sound recording side, because that's where those artists are usually getting paid, right? And there's a place in the digital network that collects these royalties. ASCAP, BMI, CSEC, those companies, they collect in all areas outside of digital, right? You got a company called Sound Exchange. If y'all haven't heard of it, they collect the non-interactive digital royalty money in the internet space. So YouTube and Pandora, if iHeart has a radio station on their website, like, you got to understand and take keen into understanding where all money is being driven, because people will take advantage of you. You know what I'm saying? They'll take advantage of you not knowing, and you'll have money just sitting out there, or you'll have people that's false claiming money and claiming percentages of things and trying to collect your money on your behalf. So you got to pay attention to that. This is another place where I strongly suggest, if you decide to enter a publishing type deal, to have an entertainment attorney. If you don't know the business, it's like I said, it's just like any recording deal or any other type of deal that's generating a lot of money. You need some representation before you jump into it. You need to treat it just as you're treating your decision on a distribution deal or any other type of business, real business in this music business. So there are benefits to getting your artist publishing deals. One, I'm a firm believer in some type of publishing setup, most likely usually admin, because it's a lot of money out there to be received. It's like, and this is if your artist is a producer or beat maker, composer who puts the instruments to the song, or their songwriters. It's definitely a benefit for that, because you as a manager, if you're trying to figure out and track down and use these agencies to try to collect on your behalf of music all around the world, all around the country and the world, because there's foreign rights where you got to have music collected also. As long as it's anywhere in the world, it's making money. So it can become a hassle. It can become a lot of work. And it's something that I believe in having someone to do for me. Now, that's the admin deal. Now, there's the co-pub deal, where just like a record label, they would give you a lot of money. People would give you a big advance to share in your ownership of the composition that you wrote. And sometimes those could be very lucrative, millions and millions of dollars, so for a piece of your ownership. The difference between that and a traditional standard record label royalty type deal is, they don't usually own 100% in the publishing world. If you see that, you seeing somebody dirty that's doing you like that. But, it's usually on average a 50-50 type deal, but that's like a case-by-case scenario. So these co-publishing deals, you could get a lot of money from them. So how do you decide whether to take the money? Should I take the money, or when should I take the money? And if I do take the money, what does that look like, and how do I negotiate the best for my client? Most of the time, when they're giving you advances in the publishing world, they usually give you an advance based off pipeline. They have technology that they could see how much money songs are going to generate and being generated in all these places outside of the world. If you're not pressed for money early on, I would take an admin type deal to make, to give somebody a small percentage. You still own all your publishing. You own 100% of your publishing, but you're giving them a percentage just for going collect it and distribute it. Once you become an artist where you're sought after and your songs blow up, where you will possibly get more syncs and be able to get, licenses in television, plays, and all these other places where you can make money at inside of this music world where music is heard. Once you get to that place, then you may look for someone to, just like a touring agent or or anybody else, to kind of help you go seek opportunities outside of your music world, then at that point, I would look at a co-pub type deal. And the leverage should be just as in, well, I'm going to talk about this in the distribution section when we talk about different types of deals. Your leverage should be, getting yourself to a place where you're super hot and you can control your own terms. Like I said, a co-publishing deal is generally 50-50. You want to get to a point where, you're fish grease hot and they just want you in their portfolio. We can say, well, listen, we could do 80-20, 75-25, and you're still getting the same services out of the publisher. So I would recommend to everyone, to start off, get some type of admin deal so you have everything organized and somebody is out there going collect on your artist's behalf. And once you get to a point where you get them super hot and you have opportunity to place everything, you can have somebody looking at placements and things like that every single day, then at that point, I will look into, doing the co-pub deal, but trying to get it and negotiate once you have the strength and you fish grease hot out of the norm of the 50-50 and try to get it in, with favorable terms where you get the biggest piece of the pie and more money. So the biggest takeaway I could give you guys on publishing is you have a songwriter, writer, or composer of music, make sure you pay 100% attention to the publishing side of the business because it makes a whole lot of money. And don't let money get left on the table by not paying attention to it, thinking that the only way that artists make money is from the sound recording side of the business.